Joining us tonight, George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley. Professor, great to have you with us. What do you make of it all? Another behind closed doors session with a high-ranking FBI or Justice Department official. Where are we headed here?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think that the positive thing here is that we are getting this testimony. The FBI tends to be very cloistered, very secretive, obviously, much for good reason. But in some cases, it's cultural. They tend to resist efforts by Congress to conduct oversight. They're yielding, finally, in producing these witnesses. And what we learn could be very important in terms of the future of the FBI, the future of these individuals. These are legitimate concerns. I mean, it is a legitimate concern if there was a political influence, not just at the FBI, but in these particular investigations. And it requires greater transparency than most of these FBI officials feel comfortable with.
We've had an extraordinary number of officials appear before the oversight committees, whether it be judiciary, whether it be intelligence, in the House and Senate. And the answers that leaders at the very top of the FBI and Justice Department are giving were interposing the Office of Inspector General as a reason not to give the committee its due as an oversight organization. This is absolutely egregious conduct, in my personal judgment, on the part of those officials. They're basically saying that they've got reasons not to permit our Constitution to work. That's arrogance in the extreme.
Well, I'll tell you where I agree is that Congress has for too long allowed executive branch officials to be in open contempt without any repercussions or any response from Congress. They have a right of oversight. It's as if the IG's office is superior to the legislative branch in Article 1. And I'm glad to see the members of Congress finally flexing that muscle and trying to regain some of that ground. I thought it was a good thing when Chairman Nunes said, we're prepared to hold people in contempt, even in a Republican administration, if that's what it'll take. I thought that was a good moment, quite frankly, to see Congress acting that way.
I concur wholeheartedly, and I will go a little further. I believe that Chairman Nunes has, if you will, laid out the template for how a chairman of an oversight committee, but in particular intelligence committees, should be conducting themselves assertively, aggressively, within the bounds of the Constitution, and insisting on oversight over these intelligence committees that, in my opinion, since last August, have demonstrated themselves, and by last August I'm referring to actually 2016, when we started hearing from the intelligence community about their political judgments on the candidates who are running for president. They have broached nearly every tradition and demanded standard of propriety on the part of the intelligence community. This has been quite something for the American people to have to put up with.
Well, what really concerns me is that what the committee was asking for was perfectly legitimate. You know, they weren't asking about the investigation, facts about that, as much as the investigators. It was about them, not their targets that they were pursuing. And they have largely obstructed this effort. So this week is a big moment in terms of getting some of these people under oath.
Under oath, and McCabe, what are your thoughts about the calls for him to be fired? This being the man who recused himself 6 days before the election, as we'll recall, having already made most of the decisions that would have been in conflict with him.
You know, though I'm not one of those who have called for him to be fired. I don't think there's evidence to support it. You try to be fair, particularly to people who are working in government. We'll find out a lot about McCabe's conduct, and there may come a time when we have to do that. But I think that at most what we have here is a really problematic response to conflicts, slow, and in my view, not very, what you might say, prophylactic, to try to find ways to avoid conflicts. And instead, a lot of these officials seem comfortable with them. We still have key figures with conflicts of interest in the investigation.
Well, amongst them, Strzok, who has been involved in a number of points of contact in the Clinton investigation, whether it be the emails, whether it be the decision to make a decision to exculpate her. We have the same thing with McCabe, though. He is there involved in a wide swath of these issues under investigation, which on its face seems to, without question, be in conflict, at least in appearance. And why aren't our investigatory agencies and officials being held to the highest standard, not the de minimis?
Well, they should be held to the highest standard. And I think what we learned from this week could very well fill in a lot of these gaps. And, you know, while there may be not grounds for termination, there may be grounds for further separation of McCabe from any involvement. There's certainly grounds to question his judgment. And he's not alone in that. I'm really surprised by the lack of professionalism that's long been the touchstone of the FBI that's coming out, and not just these emails, but in the pattern of decisions that were made.
Professor Jonathan Turley, always great to see you. Thanks for being with us tonight. And we will be, let's talk further, as we most assuredly will need to, as these events continue to unwind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan Turley.